Today, we're stepping away from the clash of swords and the roar of battle. Instead, we're entering the quiet, heavy aftermath. This is the story of King Yudhishthira, a man who, on paper, won everything, but in his heart, lost his peace. And that question, that's really what we're diving into. Yudhishthira is struggling with this huge victory that feels more like a terrible loss. That crown on his head feels heavier than any weapon he ever faced. And this is what sets the stage for one last critical lesson from the one person who never, ever sugarcoated the truth, his uncle, Vidura.
So years have gone by since the Great War. To the outside world, King Yudhishthira looks like a success. The kingdom is running smoothly. But inside, he's just broken. He's haunted by what it costs to get that throne. And watching all of this, in silence, is Vidura, the wise one. He sees that the king's deepest wounds are the ones no one else can.
Now, when Vidura leaves, it's not like he's storming out in protest. It's not abandonment. It's a deliberate, quiet shift. He knows his job in the royal court is done. His focus now is on a different kind of truth, a deeper kind of peace, far away from all the politics and power games.
You could imagine, when Yudhishthira finds out Vidura is gone, it's not just concern, it's this cold wave of panic. He gets it immediately. This isn't just his uncle leaving. This is a message, a sign, and it's meant for him. He realizes that his last connection to pure, unfiltered truth has just walked out the door, and now he has to be the one to go find it.
And the contrast here, it's just incredible. Yudhishthira leaves all the luxury and noise of his palace behind and travels deep into the forest, and he finds Vidura, not in some fancy retreat, but in a simple little hut, perfectly at peace with just the sound of the wind. This isn't just a trip, it's a journey from the pride of a king to the humility of a student.
With this one question, Yudhishthira he puts all his defenses down. He's not a king demanding answers. He's a nephew, a student begging for guidance. He's admitting we didn't listen before, and he's terrified that this final silent act is another truth he's about to miss.
And that vulnerability, right there, that's the key. It opens the door. Vidura doesn't lecture him. He doesn't say, "I told you so." Instead, he offers one final teaching. This conversation becomes the ultimate mirror, showing not just what a king should do, but what any of us should strive to be.
So, Yudhishthira starts with his biggest burden, his public duty as a king. He needs to know, what are the biggest dangers? What are the hidden traps that could bring everything crashing down all over again? And Vidura's answer, it's so powerful because it's so simple. He doesn't talk about armies or spies. He talks about 4 enemies inside your own mind. Anger, he says, makes you blind. Greed turns justice into something you can buy. Fear stops you from doing what you know is right. And that last one, flattery, well, that one might be the most dangerous of all.
I mean, just picture it for a second. A room where every single person just nods and agrees with the leader, no matter what. Vidura says that the moment a ruler is only surrounded by yes men, their downfall has already started. Because flattery builds a prison of lies around you, and a leader who can't see the truth is already defeated.
So how do you fight that kind of blindness? Well, Vidura gives him the antidote. He reminds Yudhishthira that real understanding isn't found in the echo chamber of the palace. It's out there, on the ground, with the most vulnerable people. Their problems, their fears, their voices. That's where the whole truth is. A good leader has to listen down, not just to the people on their level.
Okay, so he's gotten advice for the king, but then the conversation shifts. It gets really personal. Yudhishthira is no longer speaking as a ruler, but as a man who's lost almost everyone he loves. He's asking, how do you live a good life after you've been part of so much destruction? And this is where the lesson becomes about all of us.
And the advice Vidura gives here, this is timeless stuff. Don't play games with people who trust you. Keep your promises no matter what. Show basic human decency before you make demands. And protect people who come to you for help. It's not about grand heroic acts. This is the simple, everyday foundation of being a decent human being.
And after these words are spoken, there's just silence. A real, profound silence hanging in the forest air. The final lesson has been delivered. The duty is done.
Now what happens next? You wouldn't call it a death, not in the way we usually think of it. Vidura feels his time has come, his purpose fulfilled, and he prepares for his final exit. And Yudhishthira is there to witness this incredible moment.
Vidura enters this deep meditative state called samadhi, And what Yudhishthira sees, it's not a struggle, it's a kind of release. He feels Vidur's life force, his very essence, not just disappearing, but merging into him, into the universal idea of dharma itself, the very principle he represented his whole life. It was like an idea that took human form was now returning to its source.
So Yudhishthira walks back to his kingdom. But he's not the same man who left. He's not just carrying a memory of their talk. He comes back with a brand new internal compass. Vidur's wisdom, his Niti, is now a permanent voice inside his head.
And this is the brilliant part, right? This is how deep philosophy becomes a practical, day-to-day tool. For the rest of his time as king, Yudhishthira used Vidur's 4 warnings like a mental checklist. Before making any big call, he'd filter his own motives. Is this anger talking? Greed? Fear? Am I doing this because someone is just telling me what I want to hear? If the answer was yes, he'd stop and he'd rethink. That was the real legacy of Vidur's final lesson.
Okay, so what does all this have to do with us? We're not kings ruling ancient kingdoms, right? The palace, the forest, these are just settings. At its core, the challenges of being a king are really the challenges of leadership in any part of life.
Because the thing is, we all have our own little kingdoms, don't we? An office to manage, a family to lead, a community project to run. And we face the same internal enemies. Are we making a choice out of anger at a coworker? Out of greed for a bonus? Out of fear of what people will think? Are we only listening to the people who agree with us? Vidunal wisdom is basically a mirror we can all hold up to ourselves.
So, I'll leave you with this. A Vidur is anyone in your life who holds up that honest mirror, the one who tells you the truth, especially when it's hard to hear. The real question isn't just who that person is, but whether we, like Yudhishthira, are finally humble enough and brave enough to actually listen.